Good morning, AGCS students and families and community. We are so excited to have you here in my home, Mrs. Hendrickson's home. We are self-quarantining, so I decided that we would be recording in Mason's bedroom. Can you say hi?
Hi, my name's Mason, and I'm 5. My brother, 4. He turned 4 wasted, and his name is Eric.
That's right.
And this is Kelly.
Well, they call me Mrs. Hendrickson.
This is Mr. Hendrickson, and that's my mom.
So thank you so much for joining us inside of my home.
Yes.
We are happy to have you. You're right there, you good, bud? Okay. We are happy to have you here with us, reading. Mrs. Johnson is in her home, and I know she'll be coming live for you guys next week. We hope that everybody is practicing self-quarantining and staying inside and doing their continuous learning from their teachers and reading, lots of reading. So we're going to continue reading our chapter book. You can take a night off, and we will read to you this evening. I have Mason here. And Eric, who just ran around, he's watching it on the camera.
Yeah, he's kind of weird.
He's not weird. He's just a brother.
Hi.
Okay. All right, we're going to continue reading Junie B. Jones, Boss of the Lunch. We just left off. We're on chapter 4. Remember, all of her friends were telling her that Mrs. Goodsman was still in the kitchen. Okay, ready? Chapter 4, Gladys. Mrs. Goodsman, Mrs. Gladys Goodsman, where are you? I hollered. It's me, it's Junie B. Jones. I looked all around. There were long counters with children pushing trays. Does anyone see Mrs. Goodsman? I asked the children. Does anyone know her? My friends say she's right here in the kitchen. I don't see her. I hollered her name. Mrs. Goodsman, Mrs. Goodsman. Then all of a sudden, a lady came hurrying around the corner. And good news, it was her. It was Mrs. Gladys Goodsman. Mrs. Goodsman, I'm so glad to see you. See? Mrs. Goodsman gave me a hug, and I hugged her back.
Bye-bye.
Junie B. Jones, I'm glad to see you too, she said. I smiled at her. She was wearing her big same smile and her big white apron from last year. Woo! Just look at you, Mrs. Goodsman. You haven't changed a bit. I patted her apron. You didn't even change your clothes, apparently, I said. Mrs. Goodsman laughed. She was wearing plastic mitts on her hands. She was also wearing a hairnet. Hey, I remember those things from last year, I said. You told me you were wearing plastic mitts and hair nets whenever you touched food, remember? You said that was called good hygiene. Mrs. Goodsman made a face. Are you sure that's the way I put it, she asked. I skipped all around in a circle. Hey, Mrs. Goodsman, now that you've found me, you can start bringing cookies to my room again. I held up one finger. I'm in room 1. This year, I said. Room 1 comes earlier in the alphabet than room 9. And now that you know where I am, can you start bringing me cookies again? Mrs. Goodsman did a chuckle. Then she leaned down next to me and she patted my arm. And she said, don't call me Gladys. After that, Mrs. Goodsman explained all about snacks. She said the first graders don't get snacks like kindergarten kids do. On account of first graders get cookies at their school lunch. I did a frown at that. Yeah, only when the kids bring their lunch, though. Mrs. Goodsman, where are our cookies, huh? Because today everybody got a cookie except for me and Sheldon. Mrs. Goodsman didn't answer my question. Instead, she raised her head and looked behind me. That's when I heard my teacher's voice. Junie B. Jones, he said kind of loudish. Exactly what do you think you're doing? I spun around. Mr. Scary's eyes looked annoyed at me. Why did you get up from the table, Junie B? He asked. What's the story here? Everyone was staring. I did a big gulp. Then I squeezed my eyes closed real tight, and I tried to think of a story here. Well, let's see, I said. First, I was eating my brought lunch, and then everyone else was eating their bought lunch. And so that's how come I was the first one finished. Then I was just sitting there, and I spotted Herb's sugar cookie. And I really, really wanted it. And good news, Herb shared. And so that's the delicious cookie reminded me about Mrs. Goodsman. And what do you know? Herb and Jose said she was right here in the kitchen. So I jumped up from the table and I ran to say hello. After that, I looked up at Mrs. Goodsman and I was feeling nervous. and I waved my fingers. Hello. Hello, I said softly. Hello, she said back. Mr. Scary shook his head.
Hello.
Eric, listen, bud. No, I'm sorry, Junie B. I know Mrs. Goodsman has enjoyed seeing you, but you can't get up from the table and run wherever you please during lunch. I'm very happy to see you, Mrs. Goodsman said, but Mr. Scary is right. You need to learn to follow the school rules. I did a sigh. Yeah, only I really, really wanted to find you, Mrs. Goodsman, because I miss you so much. Mrs. Goodsman tapped her chin. She said, maybe I have an idea. Maybe if you promise to follow the rules, you can come back tomorrow and help me in the kitchen. What do you think of that? My eyes got big and wide at her. Are you sure, Mrs. Goodsman? Is this some kind of joke? Please move away. Move away from that. Thank you. She smiled again. Nope, it's no joke. We let children help us in the kitchen quite often. It's okay with us if it's okay with your teacher, and I'll give him a permission slip for you to take home. I pulled on Mr. Scary's arm. Say it's okay. Please, 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 I begged. Mr. Scary didn't answer right away. Instead, he ran his fingers through his hair, and he thought and he thought. Come here. Come here. Come here. Don't touch that.
Want to.
Stop touching that, please. Eric. Thank you. Mr. Scary said, okay. I clapped and danced and twirls. I can do it, Mrs. Goodsman, I said. I can come and help you in the kitchen. Excellent, said Mrs. Goodsman. Then she reached behind the counter and handed me the permission slip. But that's not all. She handed me a pair of brand new mitts and a hairnet. Here, she said, these are for you. You can wear them around the house tonight and get used to them. I did a little gasp at the wonderful things. Thank you, Mrs. Goodsman. Thank you, I said. I've always wanted some of these thingamajigs. After that, I pulled on my hands very thrilledly, and I waved goodbye to Mrs. Goodsman. See you, I said. See you tomorrow. Then I walked back to my table with Mr. Scary, and I followed the rules for the rest of the day. Wow, that's so exciting. Junie B gets to help in the cafeteria. Would you like to help in the cafeteria?
Yeah.
Come here, Eric.
But I don't go to there.
Not yet. Come here, Eric.
Well, I get to, Mommy.
You will next year. You'll be in kindergarten next year. Come on over and say goodbye.
Go to the...
Okay.
Bye to what?
Hold on, Mason. Come back. Not yet. Come here. We're just going to say goodbye.
Bye.
Hold on. We hope that you enjoyed the next chapter of Junie B, and we'll be continuing our book club. Also, just to let everybody know, as we continue to figure out what our continuous learning looks like, we are going to continue to serve meals at school at State Road next week from 11 to 12. So please, if you need anything to eat or if you know of anyone who is hungry, we have plenty of food to share with our community. Not yet. We hope that everybody continues to stay safe as they quarantine, stay inside, read.
Stay safe forever.
Stay safe forever. Read, do lots of reading and practice your math facts. And we hope that everybody has a wonderful week. All right, Mason, get turned off. Thank you. Bye.